Welcome to Connecting to Spirit with Stacy, a weekly journey into the spiritual world with evidential medium Stacy Niedenthal. With nearly 10 years of experience offering transformative private, group, and platform readings, Stacy is also a passionate mentor, guiding students for over 5 years to unlock their intuitive gifts. She is the author of 2 impactful books, My Head Knows, But My Heart Still Hurts, a 30-day grief recovery journal, and My Crystal Addiction Diary, an exploration of crystal and stone energy for healing. So please welcome the host of Connecting to Spirit, Stacy Niedenthal.
Hello and good evening and welcome to Connecting to Spirit. I'm your host, evidential medium Stacy Niedenthal, and this is Connecting to Spirit, streaming live on Bold Brave TV as well as other streaming platforms. I hope you all had a really great day today. It was beautiful outside here, a little bit foggy, but otherwise it was a nice day. Tonight, I want to talk to you about grieving. I want to talk to you about not only am I an evidential medium and a spiritual healer, but I am also the author of 2 books. One is my Crystal Addiction Diary for everyone who collects crystals, and the other one is a 30-day grief recovery journal, My Head Knows, But My Heart Still Hurts. So I thought because it is this time of year, the holiday season, we tend to have problems through the holiday season with grief, with missing our loved ones. So there are many things in life that you can avoid. Grief is not one of them. There are many things that you can learn through life. Grief is not one of them. So if you're struggling through grief, through fear of loss, through fear of forgetting your loved one, first of all, let me tell you how deeply sorry I am for your loss. No one understands exactly what you're going through better than what you do. And for each of us, grief is so different and we experience it in different ways. You know, when you lose someone who is close to you, you're never truly prepared for how it's going to affect you. You never really understand it until you are knee deep in the grief, in the loss of your loved one. It takes time to process it and know that some days you will have good days, and that's okay. And other days you will have bad days. That too is okay. It's this steady stream of emotions that come through you that you learn to navigate your way through it. But know that deeply within you, your loved ones are there with you on a daily basis. Now, my belief is spirit has things to do, so they're not with you 24/7. But their memories, their spirit, their energy is woven so deeply within your mind, your body, and your spirit. You carry them with you on a daily basis. So, in being an evidential medium, I've had so many people say to me that they're so afraid of forgetting. They're so afraid of missing out and forgetting stories and everything about this loved one that I thought, why not create a 30-day grief recovery journal? And it's a way that you can journal about their legacy, the things they've taught you, stories that you don't want to forget. And I found myself as I was creating this journal that certain memories popped up for myself that I had long forgotten. And it actually helped me through the grieving process of things that I thought that I had already gone through. So if you have a fear of forgetting, journaling is a great way to do it. Create your own memoir, your own book about them so that future generations to come will know things about them that maybe they wouldn't know because they were very young or maybe not even born yet. I remember at my mom's funeral, and it may sound odd, but my favorite part or the highlight of her funeral was when people would stand up and they would talk about her. And I knew my mom as my mom, but I didn't know her as the best friend or the coworker or the schoolmate. And hearing stories about that made me see a whole different version of her. And when I would get together with people who knew her well, I would just say to them, "Tell me a story." And then I would jot the story down so that I wouldn't forget about it. So even though the body no longer exists on this earthly plane, they are still very much alive within us. When I think about my mom, like she is living within me. Her blood is my blood. Her bones are my bone. She gave me sight. She gave me life. So I, in fact, am my mom, and my mom is me. And I reflect on that quite a bit, and I'll bring my hands to my heart and I'll talk to my mom about certain things. And when I journal about it, it feels almost as though she's speaking through my writing. So my prayer is for you that that if the holiday seasons are rough for you because of grief, to journal about it. Get it out of your head and get it on a piece of paper. And journaling can help you get the things out of your head, like I said, but it also will help you to remember other things that maybe you didn't think about. So if you want to get a copy of My Head Knows But My Heart Still Hurts, you can email me to order your copy, or you can go on Amazon and order your copies there. I want to tell you, I got the idea for this book from so many of my clients stating to me that they were afraid that they were going to forget. But the title came to me from a very dear friend of mine who had lost her son. And in our conversation, she was saying to me, "I don't know how to wrap my heart around what my head already knows. My head knows that he's gone, but in my heart, he's still with me." So I thought, what a great title. My head knows, but my heart still hurts. Because isn't that what grief is all about? Your head understands they're no longer here, but your heart still aches for their presence. So I want to talk to you about what the book encompasses. And I want to talk to you about why journal at all. And I've already mentioned about the memoirs and creating almost like a biography for your loved one who has passed. But it's also getting out some of the words of things that maybe you wish you had said. We all have those regrets where we think to ourselves, "Oh, I wish I would have said this," or "I wish I would have said that. Why didn't I spend more time? And why didn't I do this or that?" So it allows you the opportunity to write them a letter, to send them a note, to get out from what's in your head and in your spirit to them. And when you get it out of the body, of the mind, somehow, some way, that helps you to breathe a little bit easier, to say, "You know what, I was able to say it." It creates this memoir. My youngest granddaughter wasn't alive when my mother passed. And my daughter would say to me, "Oh, she never got to meet Gigi. She never got to see her." And uh, she was my perfect person that I made this book particularly for. So write about your grandmother for your daughter so that she gets to know Gigi. And it's funny how my mom will send signs to myself, to my kids, to my grandkids when my granddaughter, the youngest one, was very small. And Megan was decorating for Christmas, and my youngest granddaughter was barely speaking, and my daughter said to me, all of a sudden, she pointed and said, "Gigi," and she pointed over by the tree. Now she's barely speaking. She doesn't know that we all call her Gigi because that's for great grandmother. And here was this sign that my granddaughter was seeing, feeling, witnessing my mom standing over beside the tree. What a great memory to write down so that my granddaughter won't forget that. Do you remember the time when I was holding you and we were decorating for Christmas? And like I said, she was just little. But if my daughter continues to remind her of this, then maybe she will continue to remember. And in the book, there are different prompts because, you're thinking to yourself, "Stacy, what do I write about?" There's different prompts in the book that you can write about signs, and you can write about funny stories or places that you traveled. And I'd like to share one of the signs that my mom sent to me. And it was the Christmas after she passed, and she was a big Christmas person. She decorated the house to the hilt, and I guess that's where I got my love of Christmas and decorating. And she had these Christmas earrings. They're little bells. If you get the book, there's a picture of them in there. And I bought them for her probably when I was in second or third grade. Well, every Christmas day, my mom would wear them. They were so old, they were clip earrings, and my mom had pierced ears by this time. And the week of Christmas, I have this little box that has all of her holiday jewelry in, and I couldn't find these Christmas earrings. And I was so upset that I thought that I had lost these earrings that I bought for her that she wore all the time. It was the first Christmas day after she passed. And I wanted to, I don't know, honor her by wearing them. And I looked for them and I couldn't find them. So Christmas Day, I thought, you know what, I'm going to look for them one more time. And I pulled this box out, and there on the top of all the other jewelry was this pair of earrings. Now, they weren't there before. And it left me realize, it made me smile to say, Mom was saying, it's too soon to wear these. You have to wait till Christmas Day. That's the tradition. That's what I do. I wear them Christmas Day. And writing that down enables not only my kids, but my grandkids, after I'm gone, to read about their grandmother. And I've got different things about my Uncle Glenn, who was 99 years old when he passed, and all the stories that I have about him. And I have God winks in the book that tells you my memories so that it prompts you to write about your memories. And it's not one of those things that you have to do, um, in order. You can choose the order that you want to do them in. But when you do this for 30 days, it just helps you to relieve some of the anguish of grief that's around you. Now, I do suggest that you meditate and you listen and then you write. So why meditate? Well, there's a whole section in there as well. There's a guided meditation. If you go to my YouTube channel, you can download the meditation. But I guide you to visualizing seeing your loved one under a tree waiting for you to walk up and talk to them. And you reach out your hands and you're hand in hand with them and you're able to speak with them. Now, meditation isn't easy for everyone, but you have an imagination. You know what your loved one looked like. Maybe, you know how sometimes when you look at a photo and then you close your eyes and you see the photo in your mind? Start that way. And you're walking up to them. What would you say? What would you want to say to them? Visualize that. Journal it. Write it down. Meditate. Listen. You will hear their voice because you know the phrases that they used, you know how they spoke to you. It's this reconnection that you can have through meditation, and then journal it, write it down, remember it so that it comes back to you when you're having a bad day and you can say, oh, I remember that meditation. I remember what you said to me. And there's so many other great things that are in this book that I want to talk to you a little bit deeper about. But first, we need to break for a commercial, and we'll be right back. And we're going to talk about how to change the way you talk. So we'll be right back in a minute.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Dr. RC will share extraordinary resources and services that promote educational success, as well as making a difference in the lives of all social workers, as well as the lives of children, adolescents, and teens of today. She will have open discussions addressing many of the issues that we face about our youth and how being employed in the uniquely skilled profession of social work for over 18 years has taught invaluable lessons through her personal experiences. She will also provide real-life facts, examples, and personal stories that will confirm that why serving as a child advocate is extremely beneficial when addressing the needs of the whole child. Listen live to Dare to Soar, Saturdays, 10 a.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network, and tune in radio as Dr. RC will provide thought-provoking information that will empower, encourage, and strengthen students, families, and communities across our nation. You can also visit her at soarwithkatie.com.
Hi, welcome back to Connecting to Spirit with Stacy. I'm evidential medium Stacy Niedenthal, and we're streaming on Bold Brave Media as well as other live platforms such as Spotify and YouTube. If you're just joining us, welcome. You can always rewatch the replay to listen to what we've already talked about. But we're talking about grief and journaling and the holidays and how to kind of maneuver around that and get through some emotional waves that come through during the holidays. So before we took the break, we were talking about meditating and listening and reconnecting with our loved ones in the spirit world during a meditation. Another thing that I wanted to talk about to you is changing the way that you talk, changing your perception of what's happening around you. And in the book, there's this whole section. I talk to a lot of my clients and I ask them to say to me, what do you miss most about the one who has passed? Tell me. And I got a list of a whole bunch of things that people miss. And what I suggested is instead of saying, I miss this, say, I remember. So here's a few examples. I miss your guidance and your laughter. I remember how you always gave the best advice and you had the best laugh. I miss knowing that you were here. I remember how you were always here for me. I miss the comfort that you gave me. I remember you always knew how to give me the right comfort. I miss everything about you. I remember everything about you. I miss how loved you made me feel. I remember how loved you always made me feel. I remember no matter what, you made me feel loved and that you were proud of me. I remember how proud you were of me. I miss the smell of your skin. I remember the smell of your skin. I remember your favorite perfume. I remember your favorite cologne. I miss our phone calls. I remember all the times that we spoke on the phone. I miss being in the same room with you. I remember one time when we sat on the couch and we talked about. I miss your morning kisses and your texts. I remember how you always kissed me in the morning and you would text me for no reason. I miss your sense of humor. I remember your sense of humor. I miss your voice. I remember how I heard your voice and that everything would be okay. I miss your hugs. I remember you gave the best hugs. I miss your friendship. I remember your friendship. And now you are my forever friend in spirit. I miss us going out to dinner. I remember all the times we went out to dinner. I miss hearing I love you. I remember how you always told me you loved me. I miss your silly stories. I remember how you told stories so well. I miss your smiles and the way that you looked at me. I remember how you smiled when you looked at me. It's so normal to miss things about your loved ones on the other side. But if you can say, I remember this, it takes it to a whole different level. So now you are implanting that memory within you. And I challenge you that when you say, I remember you had the best stories, think about a story that they told you. Write it down. My father-in-law was the best storyteller ever. And there's a chapter in there about a story that he told about one time when his car caught on fire. And he would have you so enthralled in his story that your jaws would hurt so bad from laughing. And when he would finish telling the story, out of nowhere, he would give another little punchline to get you laughing again. So I want you to think about the things that you miss, but say instead, I remember. And then that should prompt a certain story. You know, my mom would, during school, she would come in, she wouldn't just wake me up, she would kiss me on the forehead. I remember that. I remember how she smelled. She wore White Diamond's perfume. And I'm sorry, I was not a fan of White Diamond's perfume. It was very strong. My mother wore it. She didn't just put it on, she wore it. Well, now I have a bottle of the perfume, and every once in a while I just pull it out and I smell it. Or if I'm out and about somewhere, you know, I smell this perfume and I know that she's around. After she passed, my husband and I went on a cruise, and it was the cruise that my mother and father were supposed to go on to celebrate their 50th anniversary. And I wore her watch. And this was a watch that she wore all the time. It wasn't anything special. But as we were getting on the ship, and when we were on there, all of a sudden I looked down and the watch was gone. And I was absolutely heartbroken. I was like, oh my God, I lost my mother's watch. I'm on this cruise that my parents should be on. Now, she passed in June, and this cruise was in December. So there hadn't been much time for me to go through the grieving process. And my husband, being the wonderful rock that he is, said to me, you know what? Someone will turn that watch in. And once we got into our rooms and we got settled, we went to customer service, and lo and behold, there was my mom's watch. And every time we would go up and down the steps and we were going to one place or another, I would smell White Diamond's perfume. So I knew that she was there with me. So even though the scent of that perfume when she was on the earthly plane agitated me a little bit, now when I smell it, it brings me such joy. So when I say to you, I remember the way my mother smelled, this is the story that comes to me. The story of us being on the cruise and smelling the perfume, but having lost the watch. But then, come on, somebody found this watch while we were getting on the ship. Going across the plank, I thought the watch had fallen into the water and it was gone forever. So this is an exercise that will help you to remember your loved one instead of thinking about what you miss. Think about the things that you remember that they instilled in you, because those are the things that you're going to miss the most. There is a part where you can journal about the first. So the first Christmas without them, or their first birthday, the anniversary of them passing. And you can write them a letter. Happy birthday, Mom. I miss you. I remember your last birthday of how we spent it together. And it enables me to recreate it in my mind. And I feel as I'm honoring her as well by writing her this letter. And my friend Denise, any of you who follow me on Connecting to Spirit with Stacy on my social medias or have ever had a reading with me, know that Denise is my energy protector. She books a lot of my appointments and keeps me busy when I'm in Bel Air, Maryland. But I believe it was the anniversary of her 5 year, um, of 5 years of her passing. And I was so distraught because I was like, my God, it's been 5 years. 5. Now it's 10. And Denise said to me, what's something that your mother would have done? What was something that Mom always did? And the first thing that came to my mind was my mom's fingernails and toenails were always painted. And it was generally a red. Now, I normally don't do my fingernails, and if I do, it's hardly ever red. But let me tell you, after that, every November 4th, I paint my fingernails and my toenails red, just in honor of her. So that when I look down and I see my nails and they're painted red, I think to myself, my mom's holding my hand. This is a memory. Instead of me saying, I miss the way your fingernails were always painted red, I remember that your fingernails were always painted. And it's a memory of the first anniversary of her passing for her birthday. But it didn't really hit me until her fifth. The first anniversary, I was still kind of numb with everything. And any of you who have gone through this understand exactly what I'm talking about. Whether it's the first, the second, the fifth, the 20th, whatever anniversary it is, that particular date and time stands out. So what can you do to honor them? You can write them a letter. You can go get your nails painted if that was something that they did, but doing something in honor of them to help you through the grieving process. When I think about decorating for Christmas, Mom always had all these trees up and she had certain trees. And for the longest time, I would put up 11 trees and I would have themed trees. There was a bell tree, there was an angel tree. Mom always had a bird tree and a patriotic tree. I don't do that so much anymore. I think I have 3 trees up. Um, but still, when I'm decorating them, I'm thinking of her. She loved Santa. She always called him Ho-Ho. So we've got up in the shop, we've got a baluster that has all these Santas in that were hers. So if I were to write her a letter about Christmas, I would say, I remember how magical you made Christmas. And I miss you during the Christmas season. And I will honor you by placing a chair, which I do from Thanksgiving to New Year's Eve. There's a chair beside my Christmas tree with a vest that she wore. And the vest, although it's gaudy and it wouldn't be something I would wear, was so my mom. It's this red vest with Santa on it, and Santa has this yarn for like a beard that's on it. And I don't know how long she's had it, but that she has this. And the tradition of me wearing her earrings Christmas Day. It's those things that I remember that she made special during Christmas. So, what stands out to you when you're thinking about the firsts or the anniversary of something or the birthday? You know, you go out to eat to their favorite restaurant. What do you remember? What did they always get to eat? Maybe get that to eat. But you're doing that in honor of them, and that helps you in the grieving process. It will not take it away. But maybe it'll make it a little bit easier for you to say, you know what, you were a very important part of my life, and I want to honor you. I want to remember you. Yes, I miss you, but I don't want to make this about me. I want to make it about you and the things that you taught me of how to be a better person, a better wife, a better friend, how to just do certain things. There are certain traditions that Mom always did that I like to carry on. And then when I think about my Uncle Glenn, who was 99 years old, he almost made it to 100. And I remember his voice so distinctly saying to me, as he always would hold my hand and he would hit my hand really hard. He would say, Stacy, you're my very best friend and I love you. And I can hear that. It rings to me, when I'm sitting on the bench that he always sat on, or I've got his hat, I put his hat on every once in a while. These are the things that will help you through the grieving process. Again, it will not take it away, but maybe it will help your heart understand what your head already knows. So you want to think about the firsts and what letter you would write to them. How would you address a birthday card to your loved one right now? What would you want them to what would you want them to know? They already know all the things that's going on around you. But what would you want to tell them? What do you miss most? I miss just picking the phone up and calling her. I really do. And still every once in a while I go to pick that phone up. But then instead of saying I miss, I say I remember after you passed, my phone rang and it said Mom's cell. And for a moment in time, I was like, oh my God. And then I thought, well, maybe my father picked my mom's cell phone up by accident and called me. But I answered this phone and I was like, hello? And there was no one on the other end. It was just staticky. I knew in my heart at that moment when I was thinking, I'm just talking to you on the phone. She was ringing me up. She was calling me saying, I'm right here. Talk to me. Talk to me. I can hear you. I can be with you, mind, body, and spirit. So when we miss them, talk to them, write them a letter, switch it from missing to saying, I remember. And there's so many more things in the book that I want to talk to you about that I created. But first, we need to take a break. So when we get back, we're going to talk about songs and lyrics and how they hit home. We'll be right back.
Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Hi, welcome back to Connecting to Spirit. I am evidential medium Stacy Niedenthal, spiritual healer and author of My Head Knows But My Heart Still Hurts. And tonight, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about a 30-day grief recovery journal that can help you journal your way through grief. During the holidays, grief gets really, it gets very intrusive. It just shows up. So before the break, we were talking about the firsts and writing letters. We've talked about meditations and different things like that. If you're just now tuning in, like, share, subscribe. You can always watch the replay on YouTube or on Bold Brave Media or on my social media at Connecting to Spirit with Stacy. So I want to talk about songs and lyrics. And I want to talk to you specifically about how spirit, your loved ones on the other side, are energy. So wouldn't it make sense that energetically they can connect with electronics? Like before the break, I told you about after my mom passed that the phone rang and it said Mom's cell. She's energy. She was able to ring my phone. Well, electronics, music, it's vibrational. So of course they're going to come to you in songs. They're going to bring songs to your mind or play songs on the radio when you need to hear it, or songs on, Pandora or Sirius or whatever you're listening to. I remember after my uncle passed, I was listening to a Metallica station. Now, it's a Metallica station. Okay. I'm listening to Metallica. And all of a sudden, Johnny Cash came on with Ring of Fire. My Uncle Glenn loved Johnny Cash. I knew he was saying to me, I'm here, I'm right here with you. Now, had Johnny been singing, Master of Puppets, I might not have thought it quite as odd, but Ring of Fire, it was so obvious to me that he slid that song into that station so I would know that he's around. When right after my mom passed and I went and I saw a medium, the first thing this medium said to me was, "You are my sunshine." This song was so important to me. Growing up as a child, my grandmother would sing it to me, and she would sing it to me very much off key. She would play it on the piano, but it was a song that stayed with me. And I sang it to my kids when they were little, and I sang it to my grandkids, and my kids sing it to their kids. And when my mom was in the hospital, waiting to go home, waiting for she was in hospice, but we were waiting for the hospital bed to be delivered. She was agitated one night, wanting to know, why she couldn't go home. And she even got so much where she, pulled the sheets back. And I'm like, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "I'm going home." And I said to her, "Mom, you can't walk. I'm going home. Take me home." And I looked at her. I said, "Look, if you can stand up and walk, I will take you home." And she got she used my first and middle name. And I thought, "Oh, we're going to play it this way, are we?" So instantly I started humming "You Are My Sunshine." And I sang it to her and I, patted her hand and it calmed her down. She was getting agitated at having to be at the hospital when all she wanted to do was go home. And after she passed, um, and we were waiting for the coroner to come for her, and I went over to her body and I talked to her. And I know that maybe sound morbid, but it was a very beautiful thing for me. And I told her a couple of things. And as I waited for them to arrive for her, I rubbed her hands, kissed her cheek, and I sang "You Are My Sunshine." Now, this is the very first thing that this medium says to me is, "You are my sunshine." No one else knew that. I didn't tell my husband. I didn't tell my sister. I didn't tell my father. No one else knew that. So I know energetically, my mother came through to this medium and said, "Say this." And huh, then my father brought me this little music box. And the music box has this arbor on it. And you would think that the song would be, "In the Valley" or "Amazing Grace" or something like that. Well, I opened this music box up, and what do you think it played? It played "You Are My Sunshine." This was my mother coming through to me in song, letting me know she was still around. And she was a radio uh, um, account executive, Sunshine. Pillows and pictures, and I have a ring that says "You Are My Sunshine." Like she was doing this media campaign so that I would notice it. So she was coming to me through songs. And there's the song "The Rainbow Connection." Rainbows are a big connection for a lot of people, somewhere over the rainbow. There's a whole section in the book about songs. And again, I went to my clients and said, "What songs remind you of your loved ones?" And I think I have 2 or 3 pages of it. "Go Rest High." Um, "Homesick" was one for me by Mercy Me because that's how I felt. I was homesick for my mom. I felt like a kid at camp who wasn't allowed to write home for the first week, and nobody could call me. I needed to disconnect from the family to be truly engrossed in camp. That's how I felt. The other Mercy Me song, "I Can Only Imagine." And that song just kind of filled my whole vision where I thought, "Oh my gosh, my mom is standing in the presence of Creator." I can't even imagine that. I know she's singing with the angels. I know she's probably planting all these flowers. But certain songs will pop up at unusual times, like "Ring of Fire" for my Uncle Glenn. Know that your loved one is sending that song to you. Maybe you're listening to the radio, and this happened to me too after someone passed. There was a song that was played at his funeral, and I'm driving down the road, and all of a sudden the volume got really, really loud. And I turned the volume down. and it got really, really loud. And it got loud at the part that says, I'm still here. Oh my God. He was letting me know that even though his earthly body was no longer here, he was still very present and around me. They will send you signs that are so obvious, especially in songs. Don't humanize it. Try not to say, "Oh, I just miss him so much that, I'm imagining it." No, thank you for sending me that song. It is energy. It is vibration. They are energy. They are vibration. But think about certain songs that make you think about them, and then ask them to send you the song. And I'll bet you someone either talks about the song, you hear the song on the radio, a jingle comes on, TV, you're out and about like I was, and I saw the pillow that said, You are my sunshine. These are all of those special messages to you. The song Go Rest High made me think of my father in law, that your work on earth is done. He suffered with pulmonary fibrosis, and he fought it for a long time, but his work on earth was done. And it was me basically saying to him, We're going to be okay. I will take care of your son. And it was his validation back to me that I am resting high. So when I want you to think about certain songs, certain lyrics, and I know that there's songs that pop into your head that you're like, oh, I remember this. When my mom was first diagnosed with lung cancer, the Bob Marley song came in. I think it's Bob Marley. Don't worry about a thing, because every little thing's going to be all right. And I thought, oh my gosh, mom's going to get healed. Everything's going to be okay. Well, when she didn't, I thought, you know what? Everything's going to be okay. She was 73 years old. She was happily married to my father. They were married for almost 50 years. She gardened, she traveled, she did what she wanted to do. How could I not celebrate her life and say, you know what, Mom? I'm going to be okay. I will see you again. So songs bring up emotions and memories. You know what? Journal about them. Talk about them. Visualize your loved one in front of you, singing the song to you, sending the song to you. When you see it, hear it, feel it, take a moment and really take it in. Thank them for sending you this song and ask them to keep sending you songs. It's that vibrational pull. So I want you to think about, how can you journal your way through grief? How can you honor your loved one through journaling? I also want you to know that there's a section in the book on self-care, because you know what we forget about when we lose a loved one? We forget about ourselves. We have so many things to do, whether it's fielding phone calls or making phone calls and writing the obituary and going to the funeral home and preparing all of this and maybe writing a eulogy, and you're receiving flowers, and the phone just rings off the hook. Why not have a gatekeeper, a friend of yours that you can just say, can you just answer the phone for me? Just take messages. I need to go take a shower. It's saying to your friend, if you notice that I haven't eaten or I'm not eating well, could you just make me something to eat? Could you remind me, hey, when was the last time you ate? If I am having problems getting out of bed, can you say, come on, get out of bed? Denise and I, who we just talked about, have this pact that if something happens to one of our husbands, no matter where we are, no matter what we're doing, we're driving to the other one's house and we're going to crawl in bed and spoon with them until they don't need that anymore. It may be hours, it may be days, but the gatekeeper is the one that says, okay, we've spooned long enough, let's get up and eat, and then we can spoon again. So it is having someone help you through it. Ask for help. Everyone says to you, if you need anything, just ask. Ask. I just need you to be here with me. So when we get back, we're going to talk about mantras that help you to get through the day. So stay tuned. Don't go away. Like, share, subscribe, and we'll be back in a minute.
Dr. RC will share extraordinary resources and services that promote educational success, as well as making a difference in the lives of all social workers, as well as the lives of children, adolescents, and teens of today. She discussions addressing many of the issues that we face about our youth and how being employed in the uniquely skilled profession of social work for over 18 years has taught invaluable lessons through her personal experiences. She will also provide real-life facts, examples, and personal stories that will confirm that why serving as a child advocate is extremely beneficial when addressing the needs of the whole child. Listen live to Dare to Soar, Saturdays 10 a.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network, and tune in radio as Dr. RC will provide thought-provoking information that will empower, encourage, and strengthen students, families, and communities across our nation. You can also visit her at soarwithkatie.com.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Hi, welcome back to Connecting to Spirit. I'm evidential medium Stacy Niedenthal, author of My Head Knows But My Heart Still Hurts. And that's what we're talking about tonight, journaling your way through grief, navigating the holidays after you've lost a loved one. And we've talked about different things that you can do, how to get the book, whether it's on Amazon or you private message me. Book is purple in honor of my mom. She was a big purple person. But before with the break, we were talking about songs and lyrics and what they mean and how your loved one on the other side sends you signs through songs. So I was also talking about sometimes it's just going to be hard to get out of bed. And sometimes you're going to say, I don't even know what to think about. I'm numb. My head's spinning. It's out of control. Well, there's a section in the book that has daily mantras for the month. So depending on what month it is, you'll look at the day, and there's one Monday through Sunday, and you have this mantra. And when you feel like you're getting out of control, spiraling out of control, you say this mantra over and over again. So on Mondays, I looked at December. So on Mondays for December, it says, I will celebrate and love who I am. So when you're thinking about that, you are who you are because of your loved one. They helped instill different things within you. You are part of them and they are part of you. So on Mondays, you're waking up and you're saying, I will celebrate and love who I am. Then you look at Tuesdays, and all of December is about celebrating. So on Tuesdays, I will celebrate and show love to those around me. A simple smile, a random act of kindness, just so the people who are around you know that you see them and that you care about them. They know that you're going through the grieving process. They may not know what to say, but if you can offer them love, then they will send that back to you. On Wednesdays, I will celebrate the love of those who have gone before me, of those who have passed, those who are in the spirit world. Like I talked about, November 4th every year, fingernails are painted red. in honor of my mother. I'm going to celebrate her on that day. Not that I don't celebrate her every day, but I'm making a statement. So on Wednesdays, every Wednesday, I'm going to think about something that I can celebrate someone who's passed. And maybe it's not my mom. Maybe it's my uncle. Maybe it's one of my best friends who passed away, right? So on Thursdays, so you know how there's all these different stages of grief. One of them is guilt. I will celebrate releasing guilt. And if you feel guilty about something, journal it. Get it out of your head. Get it on a piece of paper. If you don't want to be reminded of it, burn that piece of paper. Give it to the universe. Give it to God and say, this is yours to take care of now. Help me to heal through this. So on Fridays, we're still in the stages of grief. I will celebrate releasing anger. Do you ever get angry because your loved one has passed? I mean, I do. I mean, it sounds weird, but sometimes I'm jealous of other people who still have their moms. You know, I had her for almost 50 years and I celebrate that I had her for 50 years. But why couldn't I have her for longer? So there's some anger, there's some jealousy there that I need to release. And I have to. When my mom passed, I thought about all the greatness that she was. She was never sick. And even when she was sick, you didn't know she was sick. She was married for 50 years. Most people aren't married for 50 years. She did what she wanted. She traveled, she gardened, she was happy. She got sick, she fell asleep, she did not wake up. But there wasn't pain involved in that. There was frustration, but I have to look at her passing not as large as I look at her life. And I celebrate that, but I have to release the anger that I have in the fact that, you know what? She left me here. She left me. How dare you? You told me you would never leave me. So it's releasing that anger. On Saturdays, I will acknowledge to myself that it is okay to be sad and it is okay to miss you. Now, just because we're doing all of this groundwork with all of these mantras doesn't mean abracadabra, all of a sudden the grief is gone, you've walked through it, you're all happy and everything is good. You still have to work through it. And then Sundays are meant for meditation and rest, self-care, meditating, just breathing and allowing time for yourself. So we've talked about all these different things that my head knows, but my heart still hurts. The 30-day grief recovery journal that I created can give to you. But think about the gift that you could give it to someone else. When someone passes that I know, I generally give them a copy of the book, depending on where their thought process is, because it's a help. It won't cure it. It won't stop it. But maybe, just maybe, it'll put a smile on your face when you think about a story, a moment in time that this person made you laugh or you felt connected. That's what my head knows, but my heart still hurts is all about. It's that reconnection. It's knowing that even though their earthly body is no longer here, their spiritual energy is still around you. And they made such a great impact on you. Journal about it. Write their story. How better to honor them? So if you've never had a reading and you're interested in a reading, you can go to my website or you can email me. Everything that I have is Connecting to Spirit with Stacy, whether it's .com or social media. Instagram, still working on Instagram, so don't take that too seriously. But I'm here every Tuesday night on Bold Brave Media. Like, share, subscribe, see us, be with us, and I hope you have a great and wonderful night and that this helped. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
This has been Connecting to Spirit with Stacy. Tune in each week as Stacy delves into the journey of life, healing, and spiritual connection, inviting listeners to open their hearts, clear their minds, and create the life they love. Right here, Tuesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave TV network, powered by B2 Studios.